I was at a dinner recently, and the Chris Pine, who's a really cool guy, and he's in the heart of a great career. And then Wonder Woman, Gal Gadot, was there, and she's doing great.
What's her name? Gal Gadot?
Gal Gadot.
Oh. Her full name, her real name's Gal Gadot?
Her first name is Gal, and her last name is Gadot.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah,
I thought
it's an Israeli name.
Yeah.
Gal
she's
Gadot.
a class act, wonderful person.
They were both great.
Yeah, her husband's awesome. Yeah, they were great in the movie. And Chris Pine's one of us, silly goose, great time, funny guy.
Keep saying how great
Were
he is.
you catering this, or what was?
I was catering it. I was like, would you guys like
Were
more?
you the host?
More,
Why were you there?
More prosciutto. Would you like
red wine, man?
Yeah, a little more red wine. I was right there. I was pouring for them. Could you guys reenact the scene from Wonder Woman for me, please? Which I actually was saying to them. And but the longer story I'm making about fame is that in walks Annette Bening and Warren Beatty. Now that's old school royal Hollywood stuff. And I was just watching, and I thought to myself, as they were I was listening to the conversation, and they were talking about what all of us would be talking about, dealing with what all of us would be dealing with. But at the end of the day, it's like I mentioned to him, Warren Beatty, my generation, Warren Beatty was as big as it gets. He goes, oh, old school, as in
Chris
it all
Pine
fades.
said that?
No, I said
I said that.
I said Warren Beatty was the biggest star. I mean,
Yeah,
and
Dick Tracy.
And he goes, oh yeah, old school. Like it just goes away, man. It goes away. So the idea that there's any sort of destination, you may very well, and I think personally you already have. You have your own show, and your stand-up is amazing. But
But I say this, I don't mean to cut you off.
Yeah.
Like with you, whenever we talk about bringing guests on, like I always assume you're killing it. Like obviously you know who you are, you don't know who I am. But anyways, Bryan goes, oh, Natasha, oh yeah, she's killing it. I was talking to Rogan, I'm like, God, she's a beast.
Yeah.
Like,
But I think Bryan's
like
what you're talking about is like wanting that permanent thing, which really, when you really think about it, who do you think from our generation is going to be lasting in 50 years?
I don't know.
Zero?
You mean
no
zero?
one?
What do you mean?
I'd say no one.
What do you mean lasting?
Like
you mean
people,
like a
are
legend?
people still going to be talking about who in our comedic community in 50 years are people going to be talking about?
I never worry about that. I just keep, like you said, I just keep writing. I keep performing. I keep doing it because it's what I do. And if the results are big this year, great. If they're not so big next year, that's how it goes.
Well, it's even Hall of Famers. Like even, I know you hate sports, but even in sports, I was looking at a fighter I was around the other day, and you're talking about a Hall of Famer. I was looking, I'm like, all that work, and then look at you, man.
There you go.
I just did a show the other day with Mel Brooks. It was like a game show just for fun.
Legend.
A
Who's
giant.
like a giant legend.
Super
and
legend.
The greatest.
They asked,
Spaceballs, am I right?
yeah. I mean, you can't get more permanence than...
I did that for
Blazing
Bryan.
Saddles.
I did
I'll
that
take
for
a hand
Bryan.
to your face.
Keep going.
Young
Okay, but
Frankenstein.
there's three people up on 20-year-olds on stage, and they're contestants, and not one of them could name one of his movies.
No.
I'm not saying that those are. I mean, obviously those are just like an exception, but still,
They're not an exception.
They're 20-year-olds. I mean, there's only three of them.
Yeah.
They probably weren't particularly
Ask somebody,
intelligent.
ask a 20-year-old who Paul Newman was.
Yeah.
They'll be like, yeah, I think he was, the biggest star in the world.
Heartthrob.
So it doesn't, if you
Great
get there, it
sound.
doesn't last.
That obsession with the permanent thing. Like, I just watched this Grateful Dead documentary. I'm not really a fan, but it's an amazing documentary. Do you guys like music? I
I
know
love
you're into
documentaries,
sports.
especially if it's a good one.
Well, the Dead
It's
had
called
created
Long
their own
Strange
subculture.
Trip.
Netflix?
And it's on Amazon, and it is awesome. But Jerry Garcia, who I didn't know anything about, and listen, I watched this. I'm trying to get into their music, and it's challenging.
It's too hard. I can't do it.
It's not for me.
But the philosophy is so cool, and he said what really shaped him is he went down to Watts Towers. Now, do you know what that is? It's like this man. It was his life's work, and he put together. It's in Watts in California and in LA, and he put together this like crazy structure from like found objects and garbage, and it's just been there, and it's never going to move. And Jerry Garcia saw it, and instead of like thinking how cool it was, he was like, oh. This is all that permanence thing is. Yeah. Like, I want to just have fun.
Yeah.
And so his whole philosophy, that's kind of why his records suck.
Yeah.
Because he's more about the live performance and like, what can I do? And obviously you can't take that too far because then you die of heroin. I mean, that's what happened
He died
to
of
him.
diabetes, actually. But
well, he was a heroin addict.
Was he a heroin addict?
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely didn't help. Yeah,
Gee
heroin
whiz.
addict.
Yeah, that doesn't
And
help
that's
with
from
diabetes.
like, drugs and fun and whatever
Yes.
happens. Obviously the weed doesn't work anymore or how
Yeah.
that happens. But the point is, it's like having this like thing that's going to be remembered 50 years after your death. Like maybe that's not so
kinda
important.
sad.
It is sad.
But that's why you have kids, because they can carry your legacy on.
Or not your legacy, but they can be good people who can balance out all the idiots.
Well,
It's kinda sad,
I was
though.
talking to Dove Davidoff about
Should
this.
we all just quit now?
No, you shouldn't, because I was talking to Dove Davidoff about this, and we were talking about, I've gotten to a point now where, like, okay, so I can write stuff that's funny, right? That's silly and funny. But I've recently been writing up a storm about what the things I care about. Like I'm way more interested in things that bother me and making sort of a commentary and making that funny. That's challenging. In other words, being funny with something to say. And I've always run away from that. I've always avoided that. I don't know why.
But also, you don't have to. Like, not everyone needs to be a political comedian 100%, right now.
No, I'm not a political comedian. I don't think so. What I think is important, though, is like what's the responsibility to write what you care about and try to be original. That'll leave a mark. And I don't know how long that mark will leave. I don't know how long, but it'll leave it for a little while.
But then you're back to wanting to leave a mark.
I am. I mean, I think all human beings want some form of immortality. That's why our kids are so important to us. That's why our work is so important to us. Leaving a legacy, no matter what it is, whether it's...
But what I'm trying to say and what you're saying is like no one knows who Paul Newman is anymore.
Yeah.
So it doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
So why concern yourself about it?
You can't be
you
can't be a nihilist. No, exactly. So you don't do it for what? For the public embrace or the creature comforts. You do it for the work itself. The idea that you...
But how real is that? I understand you doing this. How real is that? I know, and let's be real, like if you see another comic on Netflix, like, dude, I'm fucking better. Why am I not on there? Or you know what I'm saying? Like everyone wants it to be relevant. Or you're all on the same race. It's fun to be relevant
for sure.
You're all in the same race.
Relevance is a little different because that's kind of what's happening in your... Well, I guess...
Yeah, you want to be relevant to make your mark,
your lifetime.
You want to be relevant to make your mark. Like if this day...
Well, you want to be relevant to make the crowds laugh tomorrow. Right? Like if I have
But also to make your mark, though, right? Because if you have a special and you release it on your own website, that's not going to be as more relevant. You're not making your mark, whether you're on Netflix and you
see, relevant's a dangerous word because YouTube stars are relevant. And then there are people like George Carlin or Richard Pryor who could be doing, or even for that matter, Woody Allen. Listen to their old stand-up. They could be up at the Comedy Store right now destroying. And there's something called classic. There's something called classic work. You know, things that are so good that they stand the test of time.
But even something like Mitch Hedberg, who's as good as it gets, he wasn't popular enough for people in 50 years to know who that guy is.
A different time. Yeah, a different time.
You know, I think maybe Richard Pryor, well, although I did meet a 20-year-old the other day who didn't know who Richard Pryor was. Yeah. But, you know, maybe, who's the other one you said? Carlin. Yeah. I think he maybe in 50 years, people might...
I don't care about 50 years. All I'm saying is that there's something about when you listen to Kashmir, Zeppelin's Kashmir, that song, it is, you just go, you can never stop listening to it. It's always like that,
it's always gonna be
unique
relevant.
sound. Right.
Well, no, it's a classic.
But that's music, and I don't think comedy has the same, you know. Here's proof of that. Just listen to, who's the guy? Oh, fuck.
What genre?
60s. What's his name? Fuck.
Oh, Lenny Bruce.
Lenny Bruce. Yeah. Look up a Lenny Bruce joke. You're like, huh?
Well,
but he was like so relevant at the time and so dirty and getting arrested. And you're like, he got arrested for that? I don't get it.
He was a little bit different in that he was pushing against obscenity laws. And he was testing limits of the First Amendment. And he was sort of saying, I can say this stuff in a world that doesn't have me.
Yeah.
But now I'm saying it doesn't have that. Now I can listen to Kashmir and have the same feeling that I would ever have.
Maybe comedy's a little different, though, in some ways,
comedy's different for sure.
That's what I was saying.
Yes. I think
music, it's not fair to compare yourself against music.
No way.
Music is like...
Or a great novel or something
emotional.
like that.
Yes.
Yeah.